Well, it's good to be a man, chapter 4. It's good to be a man, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about the war on sex. Yes, Elena, the war on sex. Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it that there's a war on sex? The devil wants to ruin sex in two ways, is what the author writes, and it's good to be a man. His first strategy is to spread the idea that sex itself is dirty rather than unifying and fruitful. And don't we know that? Don't we know that? Even one, he made a point that there's a comedian who said that sex is only good when it's dirty, right? Comedians say these kinds of things. Also, Satan's second strategy is to claim that sexual promiscuity is the path to true liberty. That this is the way to have great sex, is sexual promiscuity. But the truth is that the devil hates our God, he hates the Creator, so he hates the Creator's division between male and female, between the sexes, and there's even a war on sex itself. He says that the enemy of our day is not female versus male, which is misandry, or, as we hear all the time, male versus female, which is misogyny. Especially, I think, with Donald Trump. I don't know if I'd ever heard the term misogyny before until Donald Trump started running for office in like 2015. I don't know if I'd ever heard that before. I'm sure you hadn't, Elena. You know, I don't think I've ever heard it before. That term is just over and over again when he started running for office Anyway, but those aren't the enemies, misogyny, misandry, but rather, he says, the author here of It's Good to Be a Man says the enemy is androgyny. Wow, that's interesting. Androgyny. The enemy is any differences in sexual distinction, not just misogyny and misandry and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was good. So he says the thought is today is that if we can just mush together the genders into a homogeneous humanity, into this androgynous mass, then we'll have no more divisions, we'll have no more tensions, no more conflicts. And so girls then are taught to be more masculine because masculine achievements are the ones that really matter. And don't you know this? Like, don't you see that screamed from the mountaintops in every corner of our society, that the masculine achievements are the only ones that matter? So we teach our girls to be boys. And also we teach our boys to be more feminine because the masculine nature that God has designed them with is toxic and disgusting. Now, I think he used that word disgusting basically for our sex drive, which we talked about back in chapter 3. That the sex drive of a man, because it's so much more powerful than a woman, oh, that's disgusting, that's dirty, that's whatever. Right? You hold on to my finger? Okay, yeah. So he says, contrary to Genesis chapter 1, the new generation is growing up believing that it's not good to be the sex that God has designed them to be. And so they have no clue of how to live as God designed them, as a feminine woman and as a masculine man. Great chapter talking about these problems that we have in there. And the solution is that we embrace who God has made us. If he has made us a man, then we embrace godly masculinity. And if he's made us a woman, like this one here, then we embrace godly femininity. Now, he does also talk about hierarchies here between the husband and the wife, and even in culture, you know, there's hierarchies for kings and whatever. But the husband and wife one he really brought out, and I didn't realize, and I should be a Presbyterian, but the Westminster Confession in the Westminster Catechism says that the husband, in a hierarchical sense, is a superior to the wife. Whoa, man. Can you imagine that being preached at any point, even in a Presbyterian church? Holy smokes, get run out of the church on a rail, say like that. that the husband is in a superior role to the wife. Woo, boy, you. He says that some people, like some of these PhDs and whatever, say that we should be free from traditional roles, traditional gender roles of the past, and we should embrace new gender roles, maybe reverse gender roles, whatever, that the women should be the breadwinners, the men should stay at home with the children and nurture the children, blah, blah, blah. That's good and fine if that's what works for your family. Come on, even Elena says, what's going on here? Dumb, just dumb stuff. But he does kind of wrap up with saying that Satan is the one who is turning the sexes against each other, turning men and women against each other. This is not God's design for us. And it's also part of the curse, though, that when God gives the curse to men and women, that curse has to do with their tasks. That men are to work the ground, and so God curses the ground. Women are to bear children, and so you have much pain in childbirth. And also, women are to submit to their husband, and so part of the woman's curse is that she will desire to not submit. She will desire to take on that role as the leader and not submit to her husband as her authority, as the Westminster Confession clearly states in the confession. So anyway, good book. You got to get this book, man. If you're a young man, get this book, read it, give it a. I mean, if you don't like it, okay, chuck it in the garbage. But at least read it. It's a good ideas here, good thoughts. These are good things, and also, Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Postmillennial Man and Baby.